Hello, I'd like to share with you what you're going to find like once you finish up on the banking sim for the month of November. I like to go through that process just to make sure you're good on what you're doing, so you'll should have fewer issues finishing up on the month of December. So once you go back and you add in all your transactions into your checkbook register, I came up with 14 separate transactions for the month of November. I was comparing back to the original statement that we had, the daily transactions. Again, don't forget to add in the two transactions on the 10th. There's two transactions on the 15th. There was a deposit, and then you did a transfer, and then there's the final deposit on the 30th. So when you are done, again, this is what you should have. Again, not critical that you put on all these EFTs and ATMs. You need the check number here. Make sure you do that check number 101. This is going to be the first thing you're going to add when you go back and work on your deposit slips and checks. So you'll have to write out this amount for check number 101. Let's go through the formula real quick to make sure you're good on this. So we talked about you're doing a running balance here, so you always want to go back to the old balance. So I'm going to start where I want my formula. I do have to start with the $1,000 here. That's a given. But with my balance starting on row number 3, I'm going to type in equals. I'll click on 1,000. I'm going to minus, hit my hyphen key, come back to 7512. If I were to have a deposit this transaction, so I'm going to hit a plus sign, and then I'm going to click on this blank cell right beside the formula. If I were to have a deposit, that's where it would go. Hit enter. And then we talked about if you copy this, Control C, fill down, and you can fill way down here. We're going to need that for the month of December anyway. Control V. This will take you through, and this will generate your ending deposit or ending balance for the month of November. Okay. So now what's going to happen is we're going to have to go back and reconcile. We'll have to figure out what we have from the bank statement and what's matching up here. So we're going to be filling in the X's here and also the check marks. So again, let me open up the bank statement for the month of November. Again, I'll probably go half screen on this. Again, you have all these check boxes on here, and you'll want to go half screen on this. So you can see everything. So I'm going to start off here with check number 101. I'll work down the left side first. So I'm looking for check number 101. Right here it is. I found that $756.90. I confirm the amount. So I put an X here, and I also check this off. So then I'm going to go back to the other transactions. So I have a 7512 transaction. I've got a 550. Again, sometimes these will be in order, sometimes they won't be. So if you miss something, it's okay. Again, the order is not really critical here. So I had a 200 here, checking that off, 200 here, checking that off. EFT of the $25 transaction, purchase checks. I don't see that here, so we're going to come back to that. Here's something new. So we had a transaction probably to go back and buy our checks for the account. We didn't write it in the account, so we're going to have to add that later on. I'll go through that process. EFT of 1500, check that off here, exit off over here. ATM of 6358, hit my X, I'm good. So let's take care of our deposits here. So I had 1,000 back on the 5th. I found that. Exit off. Check it off here. I have a deposit here. Check it off. It matches up. And then the $2,000. Check it off. So I have found everything here except for one thing. All right. So we find that when we start the reconciliation process, and that's common. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back and we're going to get to the reconciliation form, and we're going to fill everything out. So again, my balance right now is $1,898.48, and it says on my bank statement I've got $764.37. So there's a difference. There's a discrepancy. Why? So that's what we have to go back and figure out. So with this, I'm going to keep this and minimize. And again, I'm going to minimize this. Let me go back and pull up the reconciliation form. Okay, so here's my copy of my reconciliation form that we want to go back and fill out here for the month of November. So again, with having everything open, again, this can get a little confusing here. So let's start off here. So let's take care of the balance of my check register. So that is the other sheet that I just filled out here. So my balance down here is $18.98 and 48 cents. So I'm going to type that in, $18.98 and 48 cents. Okay, and I'll plug that number in for us. Okay, so now we said on the left side, this is dealing with transactions on your bank statement that do not have a check mark. So go back to your bank statement and take a look and see what you have. So I'm going to pull this up. Here's my bank statement. So I have just one transaction down here that I don't have anything for. I don't have a check mark here. Actually, this is incorrect because that was checked off. I think I checked that off here. But in this case, when we're all done, $12.95 was the only thing we missed. So this is a bank charge. So anything on this side over here, this is a charge. So I'm just going to put in here purchase checks as a note, and the amount is $12.95. Okay, I'll plug in that. If I had more than one, I'd add it up. Simply, I'm just going to type in $12.95 here. That's good. Now, I have to do a subtotal. So what am I doing here? And again, I've noticed this on the example that I shared with you. I have screen tips. Those screen tips are not showing up on your copy here, but again, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, and that's why I'm doing this video for, and again, another time through this. So it says, here's your balance. You have to deduct bank charges. So I'm going to subtract $12.95 from my balance in my check register. So equals, click on $18.95. Again, I'm letting Excel put this in here, or Google Sheets, minus $12.95, enter. Now, down in this section here, add any bank interest and additions. So back on the bank statement, we had everything checked off on this side. These are the deposits and additions. So I don't have to put anything down here. So this is going to be a 0. And then the balance is simply going to be my subtotal. So I'll just type in equals, and I'll click on 1885 to enter. We'll bring that down. Okay, and that will be my subtotal there. So now we want to go back over here and work on this side. So we have to go back to the balance on the bank statement. Again, on my PDF, it's $764.37. $764.37. Okay, so now we have to go back to the checkbook register because this is what it says. This side's dealing for transactions in your checkbook register that don't have an X. So in my checkbook register, as I look down through here, okay, I have 2 transactions down here at the very bottom that don't have an X. One is a deposit, one is a check. So where do they go? So go back and look at your reconciliation form. So here, this top section is outstanding deposits. So let me go half screen. This might help me out. Half screen over here. I'm going to slide over so I can see this. So I had a deposit on 11/30. So I'm going to type in 11/30 here. The amount is $12.56.67. Okay, that will take care of my outstanding deposits. Again, if I had more than one, I'd simply add those up. In this case, I'm just going to carry that number down. I'll type in equals and click on that cell there, hit enter. Will save me typing that in. So now what do I do with this to my bank statement? So it says add outstanding balances. So I'm going to add those 2 cells together. So I'm going to go equals, click on the 1256.67, hit my plus sign, come back up, click on my bank statement, hit enter. So there's my subtotal here. I now have a missing check here. So that's on this payment section here in D. So that's my Standard Oil. So here it's 11/28 or 11/28. This was an EFT. Again, I don't really like to type anything in. EFT would be fine in this case. The deposit or the check amount was $135.51. Scroll down here. If I had more than one, I'd add them up. In this case, I'm just going to bring that 135.51 down. Click on that cell, make sure it shows up there. And then what do? So I take my subtotal and I deduct. So I'm going to be subtracting 135 from 2,021.04. Build my formula here. Equals 2,021.04 minus my 135.51. Hit enter. And now when I do this, the goal is to have these two numbers balance out. They equal each other. So that way you know at this point that your check register is okay. Almost. We have one more step we have to do. But they balance out. So this is fine at this point. You could upload your reconciliation form. You're done with that. Now, going back to the task at hand, remember over here we said this is for dealing with things that are on your bank statement that are not on your, that don't have check mark beside it. So that we found something that was not in our check register. So at this point, this is what this note's indicating. After you reconcile, you must add all transactions, anything on this side, back into your checkbook register. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to open that checkbook register back up. And then, again, don't worry about the order on this. So I had the date of purchase checks. And I'm going to go back to my bank statement here to pull up the date when that showed up. So that was on 11/20. So back on my checkbook register, I'm going to add a final transaction here. Purchase checks. The amount's $12.95. I'll confirm that over here on my reconciliation form. And now I'm going to put an X on here because we found that and it should be in here. So this would be now your current balance for the month of November before you start December. So this will give you at least a little bit of a check figure where you can see and just be reassured that you're doing everything right for the project. Let me know if you have questions.